All right, Mike. Before I let you go, I want to stroll down memory lane one last time with you here, because
Please.
as you know, when I saw you on the turf before Super Bowl 60, doing a Sports Center video podcast series called
Yeah.
"This Was Sports Center," and I want to go down a bunch of memory lane with you at some point when you have time out of this part of your schedule, obviously. But
Sure.
this photograph, I don't recall
Oh
why.
yeah.
But I don't recall why we did it.
No.
I just remember, like, now I'm looking back, I'm like, I'm so excited that I'm in this photograph.
Same.
But do you remember why? Do you remember the circumstances behind all this, or what?
I don't know. I don't know if it was like one of those pictures for the corporate brochure that goes out to the shareholders.
I got you.
One of those things. I forget. I don't know the why of it, right? But
Right.
man, how cool is that? And how cool is it to look and just see the Hall of Fame careers there and the people who are still friends? And like after the Super Bowl, I got a text from Charlie Steiner, like,
Awesome.
just checking in and just watching. And I talked to Reese a whole bunch and see Larry Beal when we're out in San Francisco often. We just talked about Boomer and big show Bob Stevens back there next to Chris McKendry. but texting Chris when she started calling the Australian Open. She had been the studio host for the tennis and just texting back and forth with her and working with her on that. It was you kind of pinch yourself and you go, how lucky were we?
Yep.
And I would say, Rich, that everybody in that group, I learned something from. And I think we all took something from each other. Like, I couldn't be as funny and quick-witted and, just with a little dry wit, one-line jab as you or Kilborn. But you know that every once in a while, that's a good club to have in your bag, right?
Oh,
and, and just the class that Robin Roberts brought to everything she did. And how to do a highlight. Like, if you got a great highlight and a good music theme behind you, like, you could definitely think about how Boomer used to deliver a good highlight. I think pieces of everyone, Oberman, go sit and write the hell out of a story.
No doubt.
Nobody could sit there like Keith and go.
Well, use one hand. You didn't use one hand sometimes,
right? And just write like the whole show in 40 minutes, and you're like grinding on a lead for the Mavericks. The Mavericks taking on the Bucks on a Wednesday night in Milwaukee, and you're like, what fact do I have? How can I set this game up? And Oberman's just got, and he's just written this brilliant lead. Like, we all, I think, collectively learned from each other on how to make good TV, and it's a blessing to be in that picture and call most of the people, everybody in that picture, really a friend and somebody who I respect the heck out of.
Well, I'll pay it back to you, Mike. What I remember from our Sports Center that we did do together is I picked up from you that when you do a highlight and the information's all there on this shot sheet, as they say, we're going deep in the weeds here. But when the information's all there, and you would just sometimes read it like, I'll go back in the day. Vince Carter gets the dunk, and it's now, so-and-so gets the rebound. And you would not say what we were seeing. You would start telling a narrative, a storyline. And Vince Carter started taking over this game is what you would start to say. You wouldn't read verbally, word for word, or even close to word for word on the shot sheet. You would start using the highlight to tell a story. And I picked up that from you doing highlights. That is a fact.
That's cool.
That's true,
I never knew that.
It's the truth.
I didn't even know that that's what I was doing. So
you were.
Thank you for getting in my head.
No, so it's all good. It's all good. And cool. And Larry Beal, you mentioned him. He was my first, by the way.
He was your first.
He was indeed. And who was yours? Who was yours?
Jim Bergamo.
Okay, there you go.
You were in. Did you and Jim cross over? I don't think so.
No, we did not. I got there in '96.
Wonderful man. He was my early Sports Centers were with Jim Bergamo and Ann Montgomery the first couple of weeks. They were Sports Center late night anchors. And the greatest thing about Jim Bergamo in the newsroom, because we were all in cubicles in the newsroom, Jim had that, like, it wasn't even Sam's Club then, like that Sam's Club size ketchup bottle. And like, if you had food that you warmed up at 11 o'clock, you could go to Jim's cube and get his ketchup bottle. And that was like, that's the guy I did my first Sports Center with, and it was awesome.
Mine was Larry, and I did an entire Knicks highlight in Marv Albert's voice because I'm the same as you. Like, I'm sitting here today, I rip off from Marv every day. whether it's cadence, whether it's a cracking wise, whatever.
All of us. Yeah.
And I did notice that you can't do Marv's voice. Well, you can't say anything about Marv without doing his voice. I picked up on that from you earlier in this conversation.
It's in your head for life. I told somebody the other day, now I'm back doing the NBA, and you have Mike Breen, Ian Eagle, myself, No Eagle, and just a few. I know there's so many other good people who do the NBA at ESPN, Dave Pash and Mark Jones and everybody else. I'm not just picking out anyone, but just the guys who we're familiar with, and to be back in the group of lead guys with Mike and Ian, like, we are all disciples of Marv. And there are pieces of the style of how Marv called the game in our own personality that in all three of us you can hear. And it's really cool to know that the guy who was the voice of the NBA for an entire generation, it's almost like that Bill Walsh coaching tree, right?
Yeah.
We all learn from the same place and kind of bring the same big picture, 30,000-foot approach to a broadcast, where there's time for a little fun, time for stats, make a big moment, stamp it in your own way. All of that came from all of us for years growing up in about a 50-mile radius and listening to Marv, just like people who are sportscasters who grew up on the West Coast are in the style some way of Chick Hearn.
Yeah.
Like Chick's voice is in their head and how to make it flamboyant in Hollywood. That's what I always love to share with young sportscasters, or even people who are going to news or writing. Like, steal what you think is great, but do it in your personality. You can't be a clone of someone, because there's only one Chris Berman. There's only one Dan Patrick. But the things they like to do in your personality and voice can be successful because that's what you like to hear. And that's a little bit of the amalgamation of the people who I've loved covering and watch, and hopefully bring to the set every day, every night that we do this.
Yeah, Dan taught me to call it sampling. That's what he taught.
Sampling. Yeah, that's it. It's such a Dan term.
DP said, don't call it stealing, call it sampling.
Sampling. He's the best. Love him.
Hey, you made it all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Check us out every single day streaming live on Disney Plus and the ESPN app, 12 to 3 Eastern.